There's some stuff that I've definitely like never spoken about to do with it that was really severe, and it was a problem.
He was on the podcast and he talked about his struggles, struggling with all of these things, the change in his life. We all wish and dream for that.
Yeah.
But then the reality is something that no one can be prepared for.
Yeah.
And I think we were just hung out as friends. That's why I was so shocked and surprised when I heard the news, you know.
Simon Cowell made a call that would change 5 teenagers' lives forever. But for one of them, that decision would eventually become his darkest burden. On July 23, 2010, when Judge Nicole Scherzinger convinced Cowell to group together 5 failed solo contestants, she specifically pointed at Liam Payne's photo and said something chilling. He could actually be the leader. What nobody knew was that this 16-year-old kid who had already been rejected by X Factor once before would carry the weight of that leadership role until his tragic death at age 31. When Liam walked onto the X Factor stage in 2010, he was already battle-tested. 2 years earlier, at age 14, he'd impressed the judges with his voice, but Simon Cowell told him to come back when he was ready. That rejection could have ended everything, but Liam took it as a challenge. He returned in 2010 and delivered a performance so powerful that 2 judges gave him a standing ovation. Cowell himself said, based on talent, absolutely incredible, and sent him through to the next round. Everything seemed perfect, except Liam didn't make it as a solo artist. He failed at the boot camp stage along with 4 other boys named Harry Styles, Niall Horan, Lewis Tomlinson, and Zayn Malik.
Liam stepped in, you brought it back together. That's what bands do. Based on talent, absolutely incredible. One massive, fat, almighty yes.
Thank you so much.
But here's where the story takes its first major turn. The judges saw something in these 5 rejected contestants and decided to group them together for the groups category. Behind-the-scenes footage that surfaced years later shows exactly how it happened. Nicole Scherzinger was flipping through photos of eliminated contestants when she stopped at Liam's picture. Simon Cowell actually suggested putting Liam in a different group, but Scherzinger pushed back hard. She insisted that if Liam was the standout talent, he should be the leader of this particular group. That decision placed an enormous burden on a 16-year-old kid who was about to be thrown into the biggest boy band phenomenon since the Beatles. One Direction didn't win X Factor. They came in 3rd place behind Rebecca Ferguson and winner Matt Cardle. But Simon Cowell saw their potential and signed them to his label Psycho Music for a reported £2 million within weeks of the show ending. Their debut single, What Makes You Beautiful, dropped in September 2011 and hit #1 on the UK singles chart. That song became the anthem of a generation and launched One Direction into stratospheric success that nobody could have predicted. They became the first British act to have their debut album top the Billboard 200 charts with Up All Night, and every album after that debuted at #1.
The problem we had in the band, and I don't blame anybody for this, I don't want to seem like I'm whining or moaning, oh my God, look at my life, whatever. But it feels to me like when we were in the band, the best way to secure us because of how big it got was just lock us in our rooms. And of course, what's in the room? Minibar.
The success was overwhelming and relentless. One Direction released 5 albums in just 6 years while touring the world non-stop. They sold over 70 million records globally and became one of the best-selling boy bands of all time. Their Where We Are tour in 2014 grossed over $290 million and sold 3.4 million tickets. The screaming fans, the paparazzi, the constant pressure to perform, the lack of privacy, it all seemed glamorous from the outside. But behind the scenes, Liam was struggling in ways that would only become clear years later.
It was only until I saw myself after that I was like, right, I need to fix myself. There was like a few pictures of me on a boat and I'm all like bloated out and I call it pills and booze face.
In interviews given long after One Direction, Liam revealed the dark reality of those years. He spoke about how the band would be locked in their hotel rooms for security reasons, and the only thing waiting for him was the minibar. He started drinking heavily to cope with the pressure and isolation. In a 2021 podcast interview, Liam admitted he had what he called a pills and booze face during those years, describing how bloated and unhealthy he looked in photos from that time. He confessed to experiencing severe suicidal thoughts that he'd never spoken about publicly before. The pressure of being in the world's biggest boy band was literally killing him from the inside. But he kept performing because that's what leaders do.
Didn't like myself very much, then I made a change. And the same thing happened this year with that sort of thing as well.
When Zayn Malik left One Direction in March 2015, Liam's burden got heavier. He was tasked with taking over most of Zayn's vocal parts in addition to his existing responsibilities. Liam was also credited with co-writing more than half of the songs on the band's third and fourth albums. And along with Louis Tomlinson, he was the band's top earner. The kid who had been told he could be the leader was now carrying the weight of keeping One Direction functional while his own mental health was collapsing. By 2015, the band members were getting sick of each other, and Louis Tomlinson later described feeling a coldness in the room when they first discussed taking a hiatus. In 2016, One Direction announced they were going on an indefinite break.
And I thought, well, I'm going to have a party for one. And that just seemed to carry on throughout many years of my life. And then you look back, how long you've been drinking and stuff, where you're like, Jesus Christ, that's a long time. Even for someone who's, as young as I was.
The hiatus should have been a relief for Liam, but instead it presented a new kind of pressure. All 5 members were launching solo careers, and the comparisons were inevitable. Zayn Malik's debut album, Mind of Mine, dropped in March 2016 and immediately hit #1, making him the first male UK solo artist to debut at #1. With their first album, the album reached 1 billion Spotify streams within a year. Harry Styles was building a massive solo career that would eventually eclipse One Direction's success. Niall Horan was finding his own path with a more acoustic sound. Even Louis Tomlinson was carving out his niche. Liam was the last member to release solo music, and sources close to him later revealed that he became depressed watching his former bandmates achieve solo success while he was still trying to figure out his direction. If you are still watching, stay here, because what we are going to reveal about Liam's mental health will absolutely shock you.
But it was almost like making a TV show every week with new songs and songs that I hadn't sang since whatever, songs I'd never heard before. And I just would turn up and do it. And we did really, really well, and I loved that.
When Liam finally released his debut single, Strip That Down, featuring Quavo in May 2017, he wasn't even sure he wanted a solo career. In interviews, he admitted he'd considered just becoming a songwriter and staying behind the scenes. But he felt like he'd be stupid to turn down the opportunity after working toward this since he was 14 years old. The song was co-written by Ed Sheeran, and it became a massive hit, reaching #3 in the UK and #10 on the US Billboard Hot 100. The track was certified double platinum in the UK and triple platinum in the US, eventually surpassing 1 billion streams across all platforms by January 2018. Liam even claimed on a podcast that he believed it outsold everybody within the band, though that claim was disputed by fans.
Obviously, you've reached stratospheric heights at a young age. It's like, what I found was, I didn't know I was the boss until like a few months ago. I still don't even feel like I am now. Like, I'm such a child. And everyone I work with is like
Double your age.
older than me and wiser than me. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing here?
But commercial success couldn't fix what was broken inside. While Strip That Down was climbing the charts, Liam was battling addiction to cocaine, ketamine, MDMA, pharmaceutical pain pills, anti-anxiety drugs, and even smoking heroin, according to sources close to him. He started dating model Maya Henry in 2018 after meeting at a fashion show in Italy, and he proposed to her in 2019. But the relationship was turbulent from the start because of Liam's substance abuse. Henry later told Rolling Stone that it was initially the drug use and addictions that tore them apart, describing how difficult it is to be with an addict. By the time they broke up in 2022, Henry had discovered the full extent of his drug use and the toxic patterns in their relationship. Liam released his debut album, LP1, in December 2019, but it peaked at only #17 on the UK charts. The album didn't achieve the same level of success as his debut single, and sources said this added to his depression. His sober coach Chip Summers later explained that as an artist coming out of One Direction, Liam didn't have time to stop and do the therapeutic work he needed. He had to keep moving forward with his career, which limited his ability to focus on sobriety and mental health. The pressure was crushing him, and the drugs were his only escape.
Cowell also recalled spending time with Payne a year before his death, reflecting on how he was doing at the time.
And I'd seen him like a year before in this room, and I remember seeing him walk into this room.
In 2023, Liam announced on YouTube that he'd achieved 100 days of sobriety after staying at a rehab facility. He seemed optimistic and said he felt like he had more of a grip on life and everything that had been getting away from him. He planned to tour Latin America in September 2023, but had to cancel after being hospitalized with a kidney infection. The kidney problems weren't new for Liam. He'd been born 3 weeks premature with a dysfunctional kidney that required 32 injections in his arm every morning and evening as a child. His body had been fighting battles since the day he was born.
God, you look amazing, Liam. You know, you look great. What have you done? Well, I'm going to the gym and blah, blah, blah. We talked about his son and, you know, how much it means to be a dad. And
In early October 2024, Liam traveled to Buenos Aires, Argentina, with his girlfriend Kate Cassidy. He needed to renew his USO visa at the American Embassy there, and he also wanted to attend his former bandmate Niall Horan's concert at the Movistar Arena. Kate left Argentina on October 14th to return to Florida, but Liam stayed behind. Just hours before his death, he posted cheerful messages on Snapchat about having a lovely day and looking forward to returning home to see his dog. He had fallen from his third-floor balcony and died from multiple traumas and internal and external bleeding. Prosecutors ruled out suicide. If you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment sharing your favorite Liam Payne memory.